At some point in the recent past, I feel as though we have become a society that is incredibly obsessed with numbers, be it likes, follows, comments, views. We have been taught to an extent to believe that whatever we're doing and whatever we're creating is only worth doing if it is likable or if it goes viral. It's a trap that I fell into when I was younger, and it ruined my experience of creating because all I could think about was the numbers and how it lands with the audience instead of what I wanted to say. That was until I realized that there was actually another way, a way in which I could create and not even share my work and feel fulfilled and happy and excited and all those things you feel before I even pressed publish. This is the way of the self validated artist, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 mindset shifts and lessons that I have learned in my creative journey that helped me go from, oh my god, I hope everyone likes whatever I've created, and into, here's what I've created. I like it. If you like it, we can like it together. And if not, oh well. So if that sounds like information you would like to know, let's get right into the video. Mindset shift slash lesson number one is that it is all in your hands to decide whether what you're creating is worth creating. And the way you decide whether it's worth creating is simply based on how it feels creating it. The other day, I was talking to another artist from my art club in the group chat, and one of them mentioned that they are not capable of judging their own work and whether it's good or not, and that the audience or the judges are the people who decide whether it's worthwhile. And I understand the logic with that line of thinking. It's a very common sentiment that I've had a lot of creatives share, and it's very noble, truly, and humble. But then the problem with this line of thinking is that it ignores the fact that there are artists in history who have lived and gone their whole lives and passed away without their work ever receiving any sort of validation or applause. And then it was only once those artists passed away that their work was discovered by some random people. And then it suddenly became famous and they became one of the best creators in the universe. If you do not learn how to validate your own work, then you could go your whole life without ever receiving the applause that you want and thinking your work is mediocre when it could have been impeccable. Every piece created has its own bit of magic, in my opinion, whether it's a stick drawing by a child in a kindergarten classroom or whether it's an expert painting something or one of those people who like make art with glass. The one common denominator between those two processes is the amount of joy felt by the two different artists in creating it. There's this delicious state of flow that you tap into when you're creating something, and for me, that state right there is the most important thing in a creative process and in what quantifies a piece of work as worthwhile. And so, in my opinion, if creating is one of the things that brings you happiness and that adds a little more color and magic to your life, then it is always worth it to create, regardless of how the end product looks like and regardless of how much skill you have or how much it's applauded by others. And when you look at it that way, I think it removes that barrier of entry to creativity and to the creative process, because I do genuinely believe everyone is a creative. The next mindset shift for me was understanding just how warped our perception of people and numbers is. Because I have worked in the event space for a while now, and because I have been doing a few gatherings here and there of various clubs and of my own, I feel I have acquired a very good sense of what numbers actually look like. I've been in rooms where there was hundreds of people. I've been in rooms where there was 30 people. I've been in rooms where there was 10,000 people. And each of those can be a crowd of people. But then when you come online, having 10K followers is considered being a small creator, which I find extremely absurd. When you actually see what it looks like in real life, it becomes sort of ridiculous. For reference, this is a picture of a meetup that I organized, I think, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, for our art club. And this is about 20 people in attendance. And I don't know about you, but for me personally, That's a crowd. That's a crowd of a lot of people. But then because you come online and then it is reduced to two small digits next to your usernames, and then you think that it's a very small number of people, but it truly is not. I feel like we lose perception of just how many people we are talking to. So having 10 people's eyes on you is actually having a lot of eyes on you and so much room for impact, because imagine if whatever you're creating impacted all 10 of those people or just two of them, and then they went on to impact more people and more people and more people. So for me nowadays, whenever I create, I currently at the making of this video have 120 subscribers, which to me is a party. I try and remember just how many eyes those are on me. Mindset shift number three is that there's actually a sort of privilege in not yet being known or being seen or just all of that fame and all of that stuff quite yet. In the era of the personal brand, I feel like a lot of us have learned the art of consistent behavior and sort of a professional outlook across the way we present ourselves everywhere. But for me personally, in my experience, it is very important that as a creative, you contradict yourself once in a while and to try new things just for the sake of learning and for understanding. It gives you, I feel, a much more grounded perspective in life and in who you are and in what you want. The ability to do that is significantly limited when you already have a following, because with a following comes the limitation of expectations and expectations that you have to meet, because people come to you for one specific thing, and so you have to create in line with that thing and to post in line with that thing. But sometimes the mind wanders and you get a little curious about what you want to do and what you want to try. And so for me, I have been using this period in my life and looking at it as a gift where I'm allowed to experiment with everything, dabble a little bit in this, dabble a little bit in that, just to see what lights me up the most and to discover it, so that eventually, through all my trials and errors and experiments, I might stumble upon that one niche or that one content style or that one creation style that I don't mind being trapped in the expectations of, and consistently creating for. Like, doing this whole creativity thing has been so fulfilling to me, and I would never have found it if I hadn't tried a little bit of everything. And so you being small is a chance for you to learn within what capacity or space you want to be big, you know? Mindset shift number four that I used for my creative journey was learning how to be fulfilled before you even press publish, which is something I touched on lightly in my intro, and I'm gonna expound on a little more now. The thing about being a smaller creative or creator or a lesser known one is that at some point you realize, and at some point I realized, that if I were to rely on external validation and likes and all that stuff in order for me to create and as my motivation to create, then I would be waiting a very long time. And I also would be extremely disappointed and dissatisfied constantly. And so for me, I had to turn that light inwards and learn how to look within myself and within my creative process at things that I liked about it that did not involve external validation. So, for example, I love video editing. I love taking an unfinished raw product and then doing magic and pressing a bunch of buttons on it and transforming it into something more tangible and something more elevated, basically taking a video from who it has been and into its best self. I love transformation and growth in all of its aspects, and I find that in the creative process, sometimes going from 0 to 100, that just lights me up inside. And I therefore make sure that I take my time and I give myself enough time to just have fun with the buttons and to play around with my editing process. I also love filmmaking, and so getting to experiment with like different angles and play around with different shots and camera movements and styles also just makes me so happy whenever I'm creating YouTube videos. And so for you, finding those little things that process of creating a video more magical, and spending your time on them, dwelling on them, allowing yourself to fully dock out and not restrict that inner child from getting happiness from that, I feel is one of the tools or secrets to becoming more fulfilled before you even press publish. And so by the time I want to post my video, I'm already so full. Let me say, I'm already so satisfied and happy, and anything that happens after that is just a bonus, but not like the actual important part of what I'm trying to do. The final mindset shift slash lesson that helped me on my journey towards becoming a self validated artist is understanding the law of detachment. One of the most ironic things about life that, as a proactive person, I have learned the hard way is that whatever you chase runs away. And it's a very confusing and counterintuitive concept to grasp because it's so different to what we have been taught growing up. Does it mean that you should just let go, relax, and do nothing whatsoever so that you attract whatever you want? The answer is yes, but the answer is also kind of no. Here's how I see it. All our desires are desires of feelings. We want things because of how we think we will feel when we have them. And so when you want something like a certain number of views on your videos or just a certain thing in general, it's important to look beyond that thing and to look into what you believe owning that thing will confirm to you or reflect back to you about yourself. But then the funny thing is, once you give a name to that feeling that you believe is attached to this very thing, then you start to realize that that feeling is not tied to that goal alone, and that you can actually find a feeling of importance or desirability or acceptance everywhere, including from yourself. And then once you learn how to give that thing to yourself before you even achieve the goal, then you naturally become detached from the goal because you don't need it as much anymore. And once you do that, you're able to now stop making it about yourself and what you want and what you need, and to see beyond your ego and all of that stuff that these things feed, and to identify what you actually want from a large following or from putting your videos out there. Maybe you want to impact a few people. Maybe you want to help someone get from A to B with information that you have. Maybe you just want to document your life and create memories for yourself to look back on when you're older. It's more about looking beyond what you're told it should look like achieving your goal and deciding for yourself what you actually want. This perspective also helps you keep in mind what you can control and what you can't, because at the end of the day, I think the more lucrative thing to focus on would be what you can control, and that ultimately is always just the way you show up and whether or not you are improving and learning how to sharpen and enhance your vision so that it accurately portrays whatever it is you want to portray. I really wanted to make this video because I'm so sick and tired of seeing so many talented young people who are just bursting with potential have their capacity limited because they think that whatever they're doing isn't good enough because it's not picking up on the internet or because it's not the most viral friendly thing. I think it robs the world of your voice and your vision if you don't create regardless of who's watching and who isn't. So I hope this video helps someone out there to be a little more confident with putting out their work. If you're new here, hi, my name is Sandra Vicky, and this channel is dedicated towards promoting creative growth. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, be sure to subscribe because I drop so much info on an almost weekly basis. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.